Stay for me, olólùfẹ́ mi for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay for me. Olólùfẹ́ mi for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay for me. Olólùfẹ́ mi for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay for me. Olólùfẹ́ mi for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me. Baby girl, I got another way I love you. Every day and night I go still the one to you. Let me be your superstar, gonna take you high to the sky. Olólùfẹ́ mi for me. Ìwọ ni mo fẹ́ bá lọ. Mo máa ṣiṣẹ́ kárakára kí n bá lè fi ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yá, you're my one desire.
A very warm welcome to all our listeners around the world. You're welcome to the Tony Tukumbo Fernandez Show, a show that promotes the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world. So if there's a product or initiative you wish to share, feel free to give us a call. The number is 0788-280-9005. That number once again is 0788-280-9005. Also take time to visit our website at www.tonyfernandez.co.uk. We have some amazing guests lined up for the rest of the year, so continue to stay tuned. And don't forget our Black History Month celebrations taking place at the UK House of Parliament on Friday, the 28th of October. The guest list is full for that, but we'll continue to keep you posted with video footage for that amazing event. And today we're here celebrating the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world, and also the legacies people create in the world we live in today. And we're also thinking now about the late Professor Ben Obumselu, as his memorial lecture comes up in the next 48 hours. And I'm joined today by a close friend of mine who is the son of the late Chief Professor Ben Obumselu, here on the Tony Tukumbo Fernandez Show. Ebele Obumselu, nice to see you. You're looking quite relaxed in South London. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very good. Thanks for asking, Tony.
Yeah. Now the memorial lecture for your late father comes up the next 48 hours, and legacies is very, very, very fundamental in the world we live in today, in inspiring young generation. Talking about Nigerian history, specifically in Eastern Nigeria, how do you think your late father is going to be remembered in creating legacies in the lives of very many Nigerians around the world?
Well, my father was primarily an academic, so someone who taught in universities. He did not teach in universities exclusively in Nigeria. He also taught in Southern Africa. He taught, I think, in Ghana as well. And I think he also had a year a year or two in Europe. But in terms of legacies, he was the first president of the Nigerian Association, the Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. And he was part of that influential generation of Nigerians who graduated from Ibadan in the 1950s on the cusp of independence, if you like. So people who were his classmates went on to become, have influential positions right across society. People like Christopher Okibo, Wole Soyinka. These were people who were well known to him and who knew him. And also he had his life went through a number of phases. Let's put it that way. So he was, as I said, the first president of NANS. He was also an academic. He was also had a role in the Second Republic. He was worked as a special advisor. in the East primarily. And then when civilian rule returned in the 1990s, he was very influential behind the scenes in setting up, one or two political parties, and he was prominent as well in the Pan-Igbo Association, Ohaneze. He was someone also as well, even though his heart was very much, he was very interested in Igbo affairs. He was not primarily, how shall I say, primarily concerned, or exclusively concerned rather, with Igbo. He had, his interests and concerns were broader than that, and he was involved in lots of other activities and alliances. He's someone who loved literature, loved books, loved reading, loved discussion, and was very curious. He was a curious man, and if you went to go and see him, he'd always ask you very searching questions about things, as if you yourself were the professor. He'd ask you, ask me questions like, so Dele, do you think Al Jazeera is really independent or not? Questions like that. And why do you think so? So yeah, so I've sort of, meandered a bit, but basically, he had a role at the national level in terms of his, role in the Students Association. He also had, in terms of his role in the Second Republic, but he also was quite prominent in Eastern Nigerian politics. He was interested in literature, and also he traveled around Africa. And he probably was one of the few Nigerians who went to South Africa long before the end of apartheid to go and meet writers and academics and discuss with them. So he was really, and I think he did this in either 78 or early 1979, around that time. It's long before any Nigerian I suspect long before any Nigerian had been there. And yeah, it was just, and so he was yeah, let me not go on and on.
Yeah. So it's interesting because also I find the Igbo people very unique, also in creating legacies around the world too. And when you talk about Eastern Nigeria politics, how do you feel the Igbos are going to remember this great man?
Well, Igbo people are very um, they're very fond of my father, very aware of him, because of his role, not just because of his role in politics. He was also at the time, well, at one time, special advisor to one of the governors. Um, he also worked, as I said, behind the scenes in setting up of political parties in the Second Republic. I think he 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 was the kind of person who had an almost mythical um, reputation in parts of Iliobe, because he'd done some interesting things. He was well known as a scholar. He was well known as a teacher and a lecturer, and people who had come into contact with him in other ways, also through politics, were aware of his role. And Igbo land is a place where people know each other and know everything about everyone else, and so there was a regard and respect that he wasn't a person who always stood at the front line. He's someone who always, but he was someone who supported people in the front line, and did so sometimes in a quiet, unstinting, non-egoistical way, supporting and helping people. He's very good in strategy, a person who knew how to, try and position political parties and build alliances.
Now, for the benefit of all our listeners around the world today, the Professor Ben Obumselu Memorial Lecture is going to be taking place in the next 48 hours. And we're going to be sharing that link as well as part of this platform channel too. Can you talk us through this Thursday, this memorial lecture? what guests you have lined up, and what people should expect?
Well, well, the lecture has been organized by all um, all five of his children. Um, the idea was to have um, a youthful commemoration and celebration of his life. Um, we thought we're lucky enough to have Chimamanda Adichie Ngozi or Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie to come and give the keynote lecture. Our topic is going to be the intellectual and public life in Africa in the 21st century, because we feel that our father represented two strands of, two interesting strands in the sense of being an intellectual and somebody interested in academia and books and literature and that sort of thing, but also someone who was very engaged in his time politically, very interested in what was going around him. I remember my father used to say to me that the word idiot that we all use, idiot, the Greek origin of the word means someone who is not interested in what's going on around him. Somebody who's not indifferent to things around them. I think that's what you said to me. I hope I've gotten it correct. So for him, public involvement, or the involvement of men of integrity, men of education in public life was really, really important, was an important thing for him. And so he got involved. So that's what we're trying to do in this lecture, is to try to bring those two strands together. The idea and how to, when we look at Nigerian history and what's happening in Nigeria today, and also around Africa, how have people who are intellectuals, people who are people of ideas, people of integrity, fared in the public sphere in Africa. So that we thought it'd be an interesting topic. We thought it'd be something that would provoke conversation and discussion. And we thought that it's something that Chimamanda, in her inimitable style, would do great justice to. So we hope to have other memorial lectures in his memory. This is the first one. We'll see how it goes. But we welcome all of you to come and join us and listening to what Chimamanda. We also have a number of distinguished guests, some of them to remember Professor Obumselu, others just to respond to Chimamanda. So we have Professor Niyi Osundare, and Professor Isidore Diala, and one or two other people, and also Dele Olojede, the Pulitzer winning journalist, to come and add to the mix, if you like.
We're going through a very, very, very challenging time in the world today. Nigeria, especially, is going through a very challenging phase. And legacies is very important, creating legacies that make a difference to tomorrow. How important, how crucial is it at this point in our life right now, when we're living in a world of moral decadence?
Yeah, I think I think the lecture comes at the right time, because we're going through a period, maybe not just in Nigeria, maybe in Africa, maybe in other parts of the world, as you can see, where there's a need for, if you like, people of integrity, people of vision to step forward, and maybe this is a lecture that can be a part of that initiative, if you like, part of that, our collective desire to have men of vision staring or at the center of public affairs. Yes, we hope so. And I forgot to add also as well, when you asked me about the detail, it's going to be holding tomorrow roughly from about 4 o'clock UK and Nigerian time. And we don't expect it to last more than 2 hours, so between 4 and 6. And it will start off with a very short tribute by some of Professor Ben's ex-students, who are now distinguished academics in their own right. and then we'll go on to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's lecture or speech, and then after that we'll have a sort of open discussion, as it were. Then we'll come to a close.
Okay, we're just wrapping up, coming to the end of the show now. For the benefit of all our listeners around the world today, why else would you say it's important for people to be involved in this Thursday's lecture?
I think it'll be. I'm hoping and praying it'll be. But I'm sure it'll be an interesting lecture, a stimulating lecture. We bring a number of different people together. Even though, as I said, my father was, worked in national and Eastern politics, we've tried to have people from all parts of Nigeria involved in the discussion, and that's the ethos and sentiment going forward. So have people from various parts of Nigeria who were engaged with my father's work, or who just wished to be involved in it. So that it'd be a useful way for young Africans. In fact, we're going to have as well. Sorry to go off on a tangent here. We also think we're going to have, or we have invited people from Southern Africa, because my father taught in Southern Africa for 10 years. So there's that aspect of his legacy as well. So this is something that should be of interest to people right across Africa, not just, if you like, Eastern Nigeria.
It's lovely speaking to you today, Dele Obumselu. May the soul of the late Professor Ben Obumselu rest in peace and continue to inspire people around the world. On a very, very final note, if you were to pick 3 qualities of your late father which you want to take on board, or you have taken on board, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think, first of all, my father was literate. I think he was informed, and I think he was engaged. So literate, informed, engaged.
And on a very final note, what message do you have for all our African and Caribbean listeners around the world today?
My message is that people who wish to have influential roles in public life should have a vision that is not simply local, should have a vision that is global, though they should be aware of what's going on locally and be able to connect and engage with people at a local level. But to be really effective, I think you need also a global vision of things. And I think my father did have a bit, had a global vision of things. He was not just about what is happening in a particular town in Nigeria, but what's happening everywhere and how the two interact.
Amazing. We look forward to this lecture taking place this Thursday in less than 48 hours. Keep shining. Lovely to see you in person, and we'll catch you soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tony, for doing this.
You're welcome.